Weeping lasted all night. I know that joy comes in the morning light. So I march on to a new song, 'cause I've been marching to that old one way too long. And I gotta move on and take new steps every day. 'Cause I know there has got to be another way, and a brighter day. So I march on.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to P.U.R.E. You are exactly where you're supposed to be on Friday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And today we are going to have a wonderful and educating show. I'm going to talk about something very serious that I feel a lot of us are familiar with. But before we get into our sponsor, with Posh Ones Apparel. You know, for those of y'all that been paying attention to what I wear, I'm going to show that logo there. Posh Ones Apparel, classy, sophisticated, stylish. I'm going to show the clothes that she has on her site, just in case you are interested. And that is poshwomensapparel.com, in case you're interested. My outfits right now. I don't have a picture. I'll show you guys later on. All right, you can take that out. And please feel free to comment, chat, ask questions throughout this period. We're going to be showing some footage and having a great discussion. Who I have with us today are some familiar faces. We have Drs. Aaron and Margaret Jamal. Welcome to the discussion today.
Thank you for welcoming us.
No, you're welcome. For those of you that don't know, these are actually my producers that I refer to when I say my producers. They are the ones that can help with video, everything, the intro. These are the geniuses behind the scenes. So thank you guys so much for all the work you've been doing. Truly appreciate you.
Oh, it's been our pleasure, and thank you for having us today. We're excited.
You can pay us later.
Pay us later, right? And we're still getting some work and still working on the technical things to get better and better. Am I right about it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
About it. Some stuff we can't control, but the show moves on.
Indeed.
Amen?
Oh my
Amen.
goodness.
So,
I'm really enthusiastic about today. Mm-hmm.
are you? Me too. And don't misconstrue our enthusiasm. We just want to really get into this very serious topic. So it's not like, ooh, we're happy this happened. It's more like, you talk about this. So,
Indeed.
so if you pay attention to the title and what we're talking about, the march on our capital, the disruption that has happened, that is about. I'm going to walk you through the timeline of what happened, and that's data from USA Today, just in case you want to check it out yourself. And this was a bit, not like today or last, was after everything went down. And for those of you that don't know about what happened, I'm about to teach you. So I'm going to read a little bit, and these events are starting from 6 a.m. on p.m. This is a scary moment. This is something that hasn't happened in over a century in our country. This March on the Capitol. And so what happened? It was watched first of all on Twitter, TV, um, and wherever else they were going live, YouTube. A pro-Trump mob battled police. They broke into the U.S. Capitol and sent members of Congress fleeing as lawmakers were counting electoral college votes to confirm the presidential victory of Democrat Joe Biden. Now, that's what the whole thing was about, and this was due to a speech that was given by our former president Donald Trump, who said for them to walk down to the Capitol. He said he'd be there with them, which he was not. Um, and unfortunately, this left a few people without their lives. It killed 5 people, I believe, total that we know of.
Six.
Was it 6? Okay,
I think so.
6 people. I know for sure that there are 3 officers in that 6 at least. Was there an extra that I don't know about? I think there was at least 3, 2 had committed suicide, and 1 died from the injuries that he obtained in regards to defending the Capitol.
Right.
Um, so, here's some. This is what the ex president has said, former president said, our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore, and that's what this is all about. To use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal. That is what he said to the people before they decided to do this march onto the Capitol. And here's how the events unfolded. 6 a.m., crowds of Trump supporters, estimated in thousands, prepared for a pro-Trump rally near the ellipse. Many began gathering the night before. Trump tweeted about the rally on December 9th.
Um, are you still there? Hello?
We've lost audio.
And we don't know if people can still hear us. Um, so, um, when our hostess, if you can hear us there, when our hostess comes back, she's going to go ahead and continue. Maybe what I'll go ahead and do while she does that is play.
So somebody
Oh,
must not want me to say this.
oh, okay.
You guys will not believe what has happened to my laptop. It says your device. It like blue screen out. Your device
What?
is
Oh,
into a
wow.
problem and needs to restart. I've never seen this ever. So
Wow.
I have to tell you guys something. I'm
Yeah.
not a conspiracy theorist, but that's the I gotta say about that.
but
So
but you back.
um,
Okay, keep going.
all right. So, knowing that all of this stuff started to form ahead of time, the night before, and things started to unfold the day after, we actually have a video that talks about what went down on that by Rachel Maddow. Is that how you say her name?
Is that the one you want to play first?
Yes, please, and thank you.
You're welcome.
Tonight, more of the cost of the president's actions is becoming known. As the House started to debate the 25th Amendment resolution tonight, Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon of Pennsylvania described more that we had not previously known about what the Trump mob did.
That's not playing so good. That's all right. Stay with me.
Staying with
Uh,
you. Somebody doesn't want
because
us to play this stuff.
it looks like that, doesn't it?
It
So
does.
hold tight. Hold tight. Hold tight.
Oh, help us
Hold tight.
all, please.
Wait, hold on. Hold on.
This
Hold
is
on.
amazing, ladies and gentlemen. This is really crazy. This is something that you would expect to see in a movie. This is not something that we were expecting to actually unfold each time in particular. This is really crazy. And just in case you were wondering, in regards to when I said hasn't happened in over a century, when it did go down before, they were actually successful in taking over temporarily
Yes.
by force. there was violence that went down. They intimidated people with violence, and they refused to accept the votes that went down and intimidated people of leaving office. So this is really deep. This is something that is this is crazy. This is
Here
I
we go.
here we go.
Wait a minute. Can you hear?
I cannot. We don't
Oh, hold on. Wait,
see. See,
wait a
they don't want us
Maybe
playing this stuff.
that's weird.
No, I
You
have to
just have to
put.
turn that speaker on.
Yeah, I have to put
Okay,
audio.
Right.
There we go.
there we
Okay,
go.
here
Well,
we go.
we didn't see it or hear it, but okay, let's go.
Okay, all right, and here we go. And right there.
We're gonna get to it, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait a minute.
It's not showing up.
This is really amazing. Well, while we're getting all of that going, want you guys to know more about what went down. So the whole point of what was going on was because, as we all know, President Joe Biden won the election. However, there are steps that were being taken to certify um, those uh, those votes. And the people that were for Trump were trying to, they said, stop the steal, because they felt like the Democrats were stealing the election.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how, I don't know. I feel like we would have done a better job at stealing the election if we were stealing it, with the votes. We would have had, a landslide all across the board, straight Democrat. I'm just saying. Um, However, this is what they believed, and so they felt like, according to the words that were coming forward, not just from former President Trump, but also from other Republicans that are in office, saying that we needed to take things by force. Well, his son was also assisting in all of the rhetoric that was going on,
Mhm.
and so that this is what it is that they were doing. They felt like, so this process is done by the vice president. The vice president comes in and he comes to certify the vote, to say once and for all, yes, this this person actually won the election. What they weren't understanding is that he did not have the power to change that. He is more so the facilitator. And so, due to that, um, people turned against him. Mike Pence and anybody else that would get in their way of changing that. Um, but, democracy won in that situation. Unfortunately, people lost their lives due to that riot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I had to turn on. That's what it is. I don't have this other one on.
Um,
Okay.
to a revelation.
All
So
right. You ready? Oh,
I'm ready. This is what this is talking about.
okay. Can you hear?
No.
We can't
Or
hear
see.
Oh, you can't hear or see.
No.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Oh, because do I have to do? What am I not doing?
I don't know. Not really sure.
Oh,
And those of you that
Yeah,
and
that's it.
those of you that know about what's going on, please feel free to comment and ask
Let me
questions.
comment on that because
Sure.
you're right about the role of the vice president being procedural because that's all that was happening. It was simply a part of the procedure in acknowledging the votes that had already happened. We've already had the election, and President Biden won by over 7 million votes. So it was a procedure. You're right. And unfortunately, the lie started even before the election that if by chance the former President Trump lost, that it was rigged. He began planting that seed and began to amplify that over and over again the closer he got to the election. Then after the election, he said they
Cases.
stole.
One officer who was shot at with his own gun We didn't know those details before the Congresswoman disclosed them tonight on the floor. And those
Okay,
revelations come
everybody,
as
Showing your computer.
oh, sorry. How's
Okay.
that? So I think I know how to do it now. Now, if I just jump in there, don't feel-
Okay.
Hilarious.
Okay. So
it worked a lot better when we rehearsed it.
production is always changing. But anyway, what I was saying about um, the root of the violence was because, well, first of all, there is weight to the voice that's coming from the office of the president.
Mhm.
And for him to be saying that this is what, especially all those that were following him, this is what they should expect. In the event that the election goes against him, then it means the election is rigged. That's where the lie started.
Mm.
And then after it is that he lost by more than 7 million votes, he began to say that they stole the election. And after 60 challenges in court that all failed, he still wasn't ready to accept it. He refused to acknowledge it as far as congratulating President Biden. All of that was evidence that he was a very sour loser, to put it lightly. But more importantly, that he was lying. And those lies began to be supported by, as you say, other Republicans that were in office. So you have the President of the United States, you have senators, and you have Congress people that are actually stating and reciting the same lie. That coupled with Fox News and all the other folks it is that were in media that were supporting the lies that said that this had happened, there was a theft. That's where as you say, stop the steal came from, because they were perpetuating that lie about the vote being stolen.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, I'll try to play it directly from the computer. We'll see what happens now.
tonight, more of the cost of the president's actions is becoming known. As the House started to debate the 25th Amendment resolution tonight, Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon of Pennsylvania described more that we had
Okay. Now, one last time before I get fired.
I know the video isn't catching up with it, but we're hearing it. I really would like you to
That's all
just.
you care about?
I
Okay.
do. I do.
All
If you would
right.
just play it through, please.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me just go ahead and get out of here. So as long as she hears it, it's good. All
Right.
right.
We want
Okay.
people to hear what happened.
All right. Thank you. And I do apologize ahead of time. Please don't fire me. Listen, everybody.
Tonight, more of the cost of the president's actions is becoming known. As the House started to debate the 25th Amendment resolution tonight, Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon of Pennsylvania described more that we had not previously known about what the Trump mob did when they launched this attack.
They were here to take the law into their own hands, to disrupt Congress as it counted the Electoral College votes, and to overturn the lawful election of Joseph Biden as our 46th president. As violent invaders broke windows and rammed doors, they chanted that they wanted to hang the vice president and kidnap the Speaker of the House, and they brought the tools to do it. They beat one police officer to death, tased others, and tried to shoot one with his own gun. Another officer will likely lose an eye. Scores of others suffered head injuries when they were beaten with pipes. Blood was spilled on the marble floor just outside this room.
Some of these details were not known before Congresswoman Scanlon described them on the House floor tonight. Police officers beaten over the head with pipes, one officer who will lose an eye, some officers who were shot with tasers, one officer who was shot at with his own gun. We didn't know those details before the Congresswoman disclosed them tonight on the floor. And those revelations come as members of the House, Democratic members of the House last night, Republican members of the House today, members of the Senate this afternoon, started getting safety briefings about what the president's supporters are planning in terms of attacking the inauguration next week. Huffington Post was first to report on the police briefings to lawmakers. saying in part that the lawmakers were told about one demonstration, which 3 members said was by far the most concerning plot, that would involve insurrectionists forming a perimeter around the Capitol, the White House, and the Supreme Court, and then blocking Democrats from entering the Capitol, perhaps even killing them, so that Republicans could take control of the government.
Okay.
That's, can you imagine the families of those police officers watching this, right? Knowing that their loved ones are protecting the Capitol and they're going through this stuff? This is madness. This is craziness.
True.
Oh, it's just chilling just listening to all of it. I hope all of you guys heard everything and we had video difficulties. But if you would like to check these things out, as you saw in the corner, it said it was from MSNBC. These are there's video footage also found on CNN in regards to what happened with the march on the Capitol. Yeah, this is really deep.
It is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're okay. I want people to think about what was just said. I'm sorry, I'm not used to being able to hear myself. We got these ears. I'm gonna take these out.
I know we're having our kind of technical, but this is important. This is deep. This is what's happening.
I don't want to hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, for those of you that have been watching and paying attention, this is some really crazy stuff that's been going on. So what I want to talk about now at this point is dealing with the after effects of what went down. So we talked about why it was done, what happened, and the fact that there were deaths involved. All of this to change really our democracy. So I'd like you at this point, Dr. Margaret Jamal, to play the other video from Joy Reid to hear what she had to say about the matter.
Oh yes. Okay. Now hopefully I'll definitely do better.
Right.
So
she had some very interesting insight in regards to how she viewed what went down.
Yes. Okay.
And how people were handled or not handled.
Okay. And so let me go ahead. I'm going to share this in this process here. And just bear with me because we're using a different platform. Tell me, can you see? Let's see here. You'll see first. Okay, good. Don't let me.
It's funny.
Okay. These people were so unafraid of the cops who were sparsely distributed through our Capitol, which hasn't been breached since 1812 when it was burned. The reason they could easily and casually, with their cameras on, film themselves throwing things through the walls of our Capitol, our property, going inside the Capitol, sitting in Speaker Pelosi's office, casually take pictures of themselves, have that played on Fox News, they know that they are not in jeopardy. Because the cops are taking selfies with them, walking them down the steps to make sure they're not hurt, taking care with their bodies, not like they treated Freddie Gray's body. White Americans aren't afraid of the cops. White Americans are never afraid of the cops, even when they're committing insurrection, even when they're engaged in attempting to occupy our Capitol to steal the votes of people who look like me. Because in their minds, they own this country, they own that Capitol, they own the cops work for them, and people like me have no damn right to try to elect a president. Because we don't get to pick the president, they get to pick the president. They own the president, they own the White House, they own this country. And so when you think you own it, you own the place, you ain't afraid of the police because the police are you, and the police reflect back to them. We're with you. You're good. We're not going to hurt you because you're not them. Guarantee you, if that was a Black Lives Matter protest in DC, there would already be people shackled, arrested, or dead.
Okay.
Facts.
Stop. There you go. I told you I'm working on it, but there you go.
Yeah, so there you go. And again, you guys, you are more than welcome to join the conversation. Leave, a message or a question or anything that you would like to bring in. However, I gotta say, what she's saying is very true and is accurate. And pay attention to what she said they did. These people had no shame in their game. They marched onto the Capitol, were going into these people's offices, sitting down, throwing their feet up, and doing this footage live. Like, the reason that so many people, I don't know, I think the last time that I checked the number was like almost 90 people had been arrested. I don't know if it's been more at this point, in regards to this, because of their own social media accounts. These people took selfies. They took, Facebook Live. I mean, ridiculous, and thought that former President Trump would just, take care of all of that, that none of them would pay consequences for this. So some of them are a bit disillusioned. They're like, I'm in trouble. You're arresting me. But why? Uh, what have I done wrong? This is what we're supposed to do.
Well, see, the thing is this is nothing that all of a sudden just happened. This administration had been building and planting and grooming this to happen a long time ago, because he was not going to, and he told people, he said, there will be a peaceful transition of power if I win. It was already letting people know that, and that there were so many people that were going to believe no matter what he says. Think about it. Even before the insurrection, why would people not believe the intelligence? Why would people say that everybody else is lying but one person? Where does that logic even come from? Where does that control even come from? Why was that allowed? And when you think about it, you have families now that are fighting each other over this person. And some of the people that are taking his word, and I'm not, right now I'm focusing on the people who are following, right? And if it was their own child, their own cousin, their own son, their own daughter, they wouldn't have let them lie like that.
Right.
If they were showing themselves as saying the things that he was saying, the divisiveness, or even saying things like even the people in the church, where the former president was saying that he didn't have to ask for forgiveness. Joe Scarborough was talking about that earlier today on what is it, Morning Joe? He said, what's going on with the evangelical community? Mm-hmm. Whereas he said he doesn't have to ask for forgiveness. He believes in Norman Vincent Peale's way of life. He said that's, for him, that's pretty much his pastor, and who was all about, who definitely wasn't about the Christian walks and giving to others and loving others, forgiveness. And so his whole lifestyle, if we were to bring a person whose lifestyle was like that home, you wouldn't want that person dating your children, let alone being your president. And so this is the person that people decided that they're going to follow, right? And then as he continues to control the masses, he had said before, he said, I can go to the center of wherever, New York, shoot somebody in the face, and I wouldn't lose a single person. Well, Guess what? He is showing that his followers are just as corrupt as he predicted they would be.
corrupt and crazy and all kinds. And just to give light to the word that Dr. Margaret used, insurrection. The definition of insurrection is a violent uprising against an authority or government. So that is exactly what happened. So if you guys are wondering, if you hear that word, that's exactly what that is and what that means.
And what did she say? She said if that was Black Lives Matter, we would be shackled. Everybody knows that that's the truth.
Or dead.
Or dead. And the thing about it is that we need to pay attention to is what is that signaling to us? If there is no
Consequence.
accountability, if there's no accountability for this type of action, then what are we looking for as minorities, as black and brown people? If the president can come against our leaders that way, or the former president can come against our leaders and say, if I decide that I want to still be president, I can do that, and I'll get enough people who are backing me so that we can make this happen. What in the world did they think was going to happen if they were successful in kidnapping Nancy Pelosi? Like they were saying kill or hang Vice President Pence. What did they think would happen if they hurt any of those people? These people were not concerned about consequences.
Well, let's look at some of the things that did happen as well. There was a guy that was wildly put out there as far as popularity is concerned because he had big old horns and a hat on. He's the head of the QAnon group. And once it is that they actually arrested him, and of course, nobody actually turned themselves in. He actually got arrested, right? And they held him. He demanded that they actually provide for him organic food. And I don't know if you guys know it or not, but they just moved him to another prison in Virginia so that he could receive organic food. Now, how many of you all thought that they would move you to a different jail or something like that if they weren't serving what you wanted to eat?
Come on now.
Not I.
Oh, but not only that, his defense, though, is that the reason that he did that is because the president told him to. So he should not be held accountable for that.
Well, he still hasn't even been tried. This is while he's waiting for his trial that he's actually able to demand that they transfer him to some place that can give him organic food. Again, this is a clear example of the double standard. There's no way in the world that somebody in Black Lives Matter could actually say, either you guys feed me this or move me to some place that actually serves what I need.
I don't want pork. Don't give me no pork.
Due to my religious beliefs.
I don't eat pork. Yeah.
I mean, but those are facts, and those are deep enough. It's crazy enough. But let's deal with the root of what went down. It's quite sobering in thinking about what actually happened. We know that this country is supposed to be a democracy. We know that our votes are supposed to count. We know that there's supposed to be a certain structure in which how things are supposed to function. We know that we have an administration. We have people that are in government that they have their jobs and what they're supposed to do. And when they go to their jobs, they are not supposed to be afraid of doing their jobs. These people, when I say these people, we're talking about our government. Congress, senators. They have had their lives threatened. Their families' lives have been threatened. They have been attacked.
Yes.
These people, they had to add a metal detector to the Capitol due to what has happened.
And that's not for the people that are visiting. That's actually for the active members.
Exactly. And there are people trying to be rebellious. They're trying. But they're fighting back. No, this has to be done. Our lives have been placed in danger. Please wake up and see how extreme this situation has gotten due to the words of I'll say former President Trump. I will not say Republicans. There were some Republicans, but there have been enough that have spoken against it to say that and to the point where President Trump has taken note and said he's going to start his own party, right? Former President Trump, we'll make that very clear. Former President Trump said he was going to start his own party. Um, so, this is what they decided to do to rip apart this country because they felt like they were in the right. There was some footage that we weren't able to play today, but I encourage you to really do your research, really look at all the. There's a lot of footage and a lot of things coming out. There's a particular individual that I wanted to be able to play, but she was saying, she said, "Did my president lie to me?"
Mm.
She 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 wanted to, she
Thank you,
didn't
family emojis,
understand.
friends.
Mhm.
Right. She didn't understand what was unfolding and what was going on. She didn't believe in the violence. She didn't believe in people getting hurt. She thought that what he said was true. But when the facts started coming out, she's like, wow, we did all this and we hurt people, you know, due to some lies, due to some things that were made up. You know, it bothered her. It hurt her to her core. And it makes me wonder, what's happening to this country that there's so many people, and when I say so many people, I speak millions of
That were
people
perceived.
that voted for him, that were okay with the words that came out of his mouth, that were okay with marching on the Capitol and causing damage, violence, taking lives.
Killing police and these people who were criticizing Black Lives Matter and talking about Blue Lives Matter, these people actually killed people. Policemen were police officers, policemen and policewomen were hurt in this. Where is the outcry now? Where is
Right.
the outcry from that party? Now they're not admonishing, they're not accusing, they're not saying how wrong it was for this mob to come against the police.
Right.
Why is that? And that's what I'm saying. People really need to wake up and see what's going on and understand what this is about. This is about people not accepting that the vote is in, President Biden won, and he's the president now. And this whole thing is all about people believing. Listen to this now. See if this really, I mean, think this thing through. Believing that they can go and march and protest, and that the whole rest of the world is going to say, oh, okay, so President Biden won't be president. Donald Trump can still be president because we just marched and we just told people that that's what we want and that's what's going to happen. When they tried it in the court, they tried it with the judges that President Trump put in place, and the judges threw it out. All the courts threw it out. And they're saying the courts are lying, the electors are lying, everybody else is lying, but this one person, President Trump. And I'm saying, and that makes sense to them. That is mind blowing. I think they should actually say it to themselves what it is that they're trying to do, and how in the world do they think that that's going to happen? What do they think? Even if they had gone to the Capitol, and let's just say, they went to the Capitol and they got it in there and they stopped the count. Do they honestly think that the rest of the whole world, the rest of the extra 9 million people who added to the votes, who voted for President Biden, all of the people, all of the courts, all of the police, all of the people that were supposed to uphold our democracy and our vote, are going to now all of a sudden turn around and say, okay, you got it?
Right. And remember, you guys, earlier I talked about the timeline. So these people started gathering the night before. The first time that I mentioned was 6 a.m. It wasn't until 1 p.m. that they gathered for a joint session in the House of Representatives to count the Electoral College votes.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this time, they're hearing the people outside. They see the people have gathered. They're hearing the taunts. These people are trying to get in. Okay. 1:10 p.m., rioters begin grappling with police on the Capitol steps. 1:26 p.m., Capitol police order evacuation of Library of Congress, Madison Building, and Cannon House Office Building and Independence Avenue across the Capitol. 2:33 p.m., C-SPAN reporters, rioters have crossed Sanctuary Hall, the chamber that separates the House and Senate, heading for the House and Senate. Do you
Mhm.
hear what I'm telling you right now?
Okay.
The rioters have gotten in the building at this point. Okay. DC at 1:40 p.m. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser orders citywide curfew starting at 6 p.m. Wednesday and ending at 6 a.m. Thursday. I don't understand. Because they were the one, I don't get it. But okay. So, Representative Elaine Luria, she's a Democrat for Virginia, tweets she is being evacuated after reports of a pipe bomb outside. Supporters of the president are trying to force their way into the Capitol, and I can hear what sounds like multiple gunshots. That's at 1:46 p.m. Now, remember earlier I said the last timestamp on this report that I'm reading off of is at 8 p.m. They're hearing gunshots before 2 p.m. even starts. Can you imagine going through that horror for several hours, afraid for your life? These people were evacuated. AOC, talked about on the air how she was feeling. They stormed in there and she was in the ladies' room. She
Mhm.
was scared. She was hiding. She was running for her life during all this time. Several hours, over 6 hours, these people are in hiding and dealing with
Yes.
all of this stuff.
Yes. Including some of the people who now later on are saying that there should be no accountability for it. I mean, we're
The
talking about
consequences.
our elected officials were hiding too. They didn't come out and try to reason with these people that they're saying are their constituents, right? They hid. Are you understanding what I'm saying? These are the people that they say are their people. They were afraid of them.
Absolutely. They
Okay.
were escorted out, they were protected. And I mean, at 2:55 p.m., Representative Tim
Hmm.
Burchett, he's a Republican,
Hmm.
text shots fired. You know, Democrat and Republican are in there running for their lives.
Hmm. And
Okay.
none of them stood up and tried to quiet the mob. None of those
Well,
people.
more importantly, if I can just jump in here,
Hmm.
the one who invited them to go to the Capitol did nothing to stop it.
I was
Didn't
getting
show
to
up.
that. I was getting to
Okay.
that. Now we did a timeline, right?
Right. Right.
So I started the timeline at 6 a.m., but we know that they gathered the night before, but shots were fired before 2 p.m.,
Hmm.
right? All of this was live, people. So best believe our former President Trump knew what was going on the entire time.
Hmm.
It wasn't until 3:13 p.m. where Trump tweets, I am asking, and tweets, not go before the people live and speak, shoots a tweet. I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you.
At
At
this time, they were attacking.
3:13 p.m., shoots a
Well,
tweet out.
let's add more perspective to that.
Hmm.
At the point it is that there's any type of uprising at all with an elected official in place, the Secret Service are going to do something about it. They did not take the President of the United States and put him in any bunker
That's
or
right.
lock him down in any other place or whatever away from what was going on because he was never at threat.
Hmm.
There was no threat to him whatsoever. And even though he wasn't threatened, he saw no point at actually trying to stop those who were being threatened by the insurrectionists. So again, it's clear that he was part of it.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing that we really want people to actually think about, because right now, the Senate and the House, the House submitted articles of impeachment. So this is the second time that he was impeached. But prior to that, when he was first impeached, it was expressed that the reason that he should have been impeached the first time
Because
was
he would do it
because he
again.
was not accountable, was because he was putting our nation in jeopardy. because there was a threat to our democracy, right? Because no one was really holding him accountable as we should. We should have checks and balances. Well, guess what? The same thing that they predicted would happen if he wasn't held accountable then is actually what happened now. I don't think that people imagined that it was going to cost lives like it has, you know? But I'm saying, why are they talking? Why are their representatives saying, move on? Why are they saying that when we all know that if it was the Democrats that was doing it, that they wouldn't say move on? Do you know they spent more time dogging out Hillary Clinton's email, and nobody died over unread email. Nobody died over hidden email. And they were all lock her up over email. Here's an insurrection. Here are people who just trash the Capitol. And by the way, the taxpayers pay for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our Capitol. They trashed it. People died. People were injured. And they say, move on. There's nobody saying lock him up or lock her up behind this. Not those people that said lock Hillary up.
I was gonna
So
say
this is
I don't
this
want to
is
say
not
nobody
just a
saying it.
double standard. This hypocrisy is actually insulting.
It is.
It really is. It's saying we have the control, just like Joy Reid was saying. They're saying we have the control. When we say it's wrong, it's wrong. When we say it's right, it's right. And when we say, even though you voted, we say your vote doesn't count.
Yes, this is true.
Okay, that is not a democracy.
That is not a democracy.
That's a dictatorship. And
I want
I am saying that what our representatives are saying is that we just can't let that happen. But I think that education is what's needed in order for people to understand that that is exactly what's at stake here.
Okay.
Is our
right.
democracy being thrown out, and that the people who are at the root of that, I don't even believe are people who are of the United States. We've been had, just like Malcolm said, they've been had, they've been hoodwinked, and all of that.
Run astray, run amok.
Run astray and
Um,
run amok. Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
yeah.
I want, so first of all, I want people to always know my stance.
Okay.
My viewers to know, first of all, this show is to inspire, motivate, and educate. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, we are educating. I want to motivate you to educate yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Look into the laws, look into what this country is about, what it's founded on, and what we can do to make change according to the laws that we have in place, and maybe think about what things need to be changed.
Okay.
Okay. I also want to inspire you to have a different way of thinking. I consider myself an independent. I am not identified as Republican, nor am I identified as Democrat. I
Mm-hmm.
consider myself to be independent because I believe whoever is best fit for the job is who should have the job, whether they're a Democrat or a Republican. Um, that is my train of thought. I I've I'm a person that feels like we operate best in unity. And that's what our nation it says. It says, united we stand, divided we fall.
Mm-hmm.
There was enough of us to unite to keep that what they intended to happen, to keep that from happening. There was enough
Mm.
of us united to put a stop to that. So I thank God for that. I thank
Yes.
God that there was enough of us to not have a repeat of what she was saying in regards to what happened in 1812. We still stand in democracy at this point. However, I want people to not further um, build up hatred and cause us to be even more divided than we are right now. This is
Mm-hmm.
the time to unite in a positive direction and recognize what is being done. We are being manipulated to fight against ourselves. We are supposed to be the authority. We're big brother, the US. We're supposed to be able to say to the other people, this is the way that we're supposed to function.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not supposed to do this to your people. We're better than this. This is the way that we're supposed to be. How can we at this point say anything to anybody when our own country is fighting against each other in this way?
Well,
Can I add about the insurrection?
yeah.
Sure.
Let me just read to you what the U.S. Code describes this as. It says, "This is the insurrection and the penalty for it."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whoever incites, sets on foot, assists, or engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or the laws thereof, or gives aid or comfort thereto, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear all of that?
I heard all of that. I hope
That's
you
for
all
the
heard all of that.
people. That's for the people who participated. And it did say assists or engages in any rebellion or insurrection, so that they're lawgivers, makers that are accountable to this as well.
And they were just
Absolutely.
calling it free speech.
Yeah, well, that doesn't work.
But the thing that gets me is that these people know better. Asia, these lawmakers know better. They know that the vote was fair. In fact, it was more fair than most of the voting times that we've had before. They
Yeah,
they took more effort to make sure that it was fair, which is why their protests were thrown out of court.
right. Yeah, because
Okay.
people said that it was more fair than previous elections.
Exactly. Definitely more fair than.
Risking their lives to
Yes.
vote
Yes.
because of the COVID. They did
Right.
all of that
Absolutely.
and still had the most votes ever in history, and they actually believed that that was rigged.
It's because that's what they want to believe. It's because there's something wrong with people who can't say no, can't take no for an answer. It's bullying tactics that they were using, but it's also total hypocrisy because before, when it was the Democrats that were saying, I don't think that this was fair, they were telling the Democrats, move on, right? They were saying we want fair and square. And then finally, even though we had said, okay, this really didn't look fair, this was with that situation in Florida, there was still a peaceful transference of power. We've never seen anything like this. And if we allow it to continue, if we allow it to go unchecked, next time it'll be even worse. And here, Felix says something. Problem is one side is fair, and then the person in the highest office was saying it's rigged.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if every president who is part of an election can continue to just tell people, I should be president. Why? Because I should be president. And if I'm not president, then it's rigged. I mean, this is what they're saying. They're saying that he has to be president, or else there's something wrong with the whole situation. Everything is wrong if he's not right, because
Right.
he's our guy. And what is that mindset? If that continues to go on, just they're not thinking this thing through.
Well, clearly they're not thinking it through because you actually had the same guy who's saying he won and that it was stolen from him is the same guy who stopped doing any presidential duties whatsoever as soon as the election was over.
Yeah.
Right.
He did
But,
nothing to help people that were dying.
But it's so deep that we have now. What's really bad about it, and really scary, is that you have people who are in the armed services
True.
who are believing this. You have people that own guns and that know weaponry who believe this. And I'm saying prayerfully, we have got to pay attention to the truth, and we've got to accept what's really true. There is no way that the people who have already sworn President Biden in, sworn Vice President Kamala Harris in, there is no way that they're going to turn around and say the election was rigged.
No.
And now somebody else who used to be president is going to be president again. To this day, he still has not accepted that he's not president. He still has not congratulated President Biden. Why would you even want someone like that to be an example of leadership?
I don't know. He said ahead of time though that he was a sore loser. So I mean, what did you really expect, you know? And he said, you know, no, I am. I'm a sore loser. Yeah, yeah. I'll tell the truth. He said that. So who expected him to say, "You're right. Let me be the bigger man here." You know, good job, Joe. Yeah, that wasn't gonna happen. He made that clear
Still
ahead of
hasn't.
time.
Still hasn't.
Right.
It will never happen.
Right. Well, the thing is now, what do we do about it moving forward? There are some checks and balances that were already in place that really need to be implemented. You know, that's why we have these divisions of power. We have the legislative branch, the executive branch. We have the branches that are supposed to be judicial. They all spoke. All of those branches have spoken and said, no, this is wrong. President Biden is the president, right?
Right.
But now there's something else that people need to pay attention to, and that is the impeachment process that's taking place now. So this is the second time that he's been impeached, but now they're about to have the hearing. The hearing is going to determine whether or not Mr. Trump can be president again.
That's one of the things.
That's
Yeah,
one of the things. But
and
that's
what he's held accountable for criminally speaking in regards to this insurrection. So that's a good point that you're mentioning for those of you that didn't understand, because the argument is being made over and over again. Hey, you know, he's no longer president. Why are we wasting our resources and doing an impeachment? Impeachment is to remove somebody from office. He's no longer in office. So, you know, you guys that weren't paying attention to what Dr. Margaret just said, this is about him not being able to get in that position again.
exactly. And this is
So,
what we need to pay attention to. And this is why I think people who are, keeping your head in the sand, you really need to pay attention to this. Contact your leaders now that are supposed to be representing you. And Felix has said something that I think a lot of people ought to pay attention to, that he controls the Republican Party. And they have no shame in saying that they believe in him more than the party, many people who are following him. And so when it gets to the point where one person is more important than your principles and your values, and that you're going to follow this person even if they shoot somebody in the face, that is a problem. And that is not something that should be elevated. That is not something that you even want your children to be a part of. It really does sound more like what people are calling it, a cult, not a
absolutely.
democracy. And so what I'm saying is, I just hope that people will pay attention, and will pay attention to what's going to be happening in these hearings, because I really believe that the outcome is going to have a huge impact in not only how the world sees us, but even in how we see ourselves in the community.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. And we are at the end of our time here. Um, However, this does not have to stop in regards to the education of yourselves.
Hmm.
I will be adding some information to my blog on my site, which is asiajamal.net or asiajamal.com. Um, want you guys to actually pay attention, you know, like every single day that you can get some knowledge about this country
Yes.
and pay attention to what's going on
And
so that you can
pray.
see how you can help. Absolutely. And you can pray. Even without all that, you can always pray for our country, which we do on a daily basis.
Mhm.
Thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you for participating in this conversation. We will be back here next week. As always, at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you so guys for being patient with me. I was not feeling well the week before, so thank you for coming back and supporting me. I do appreciate you guys. And next week we will have some special guests that you have not seen, and one in particular you have been asking about. So that's going to be fun. So I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a good evening, and remember to embrace God's perfect design, which is you. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Although weeping